Now, another thing, when you're taking apart something as complicated as this, with as many screws as it has, and you haven't done it before, do stuff like this. Just put the screws back in. I did that same thing with the steering servo box and the ESC. Same kind of thing. I'm also using multiple trays and then putting screws close to each other in the trays that do specific things, just to help keep everything organized. I'm really thinking about not using this brake mechanism at all, just getting rid of it. Do the braking through the motor, because I'm going to be doing that really heavy fluid in the diff. So the diff is going to have a lot of power over the front and rear diffs, and the ESC braking is really good on most cars. And a lot of radios have anti-lock braking, where it pulses the brake for you, things like that. So I think what I'm going to do is try doing the full assembly without the mechanical brake assistance, because that's weight. That's an extra servo. It's a bunch of extra metal items. Just get rid of it and go from there and see how that does. So that's what I'm going to do. Okay, this is actually a fairly complicated diff, as diffs go. Now that I got everything apart, we've got a two-sided housing with our nice big pinion gear here. So I just thought I'd give you some tips on reassembly once you've taken yours completely apart. First, in the taking it apart, this is a small screwdriver blade, flat edge, straight edge, and these gears here are going to be tight. They're basically on these, and you want to just kind of work it around. Now, you may also be surprised at the sludge that is in yours. I'd only run my car maybe a half dozen times, maybe 4 times, and the gray goo that was in here was startling. It looked like industrial waste, and it wasn't very thick. So anyway, on the putting back together, you want to use your differential fluid, but you also want to use black grease in certain spots, and the black grease has gone off to here. So first, put some black grease around the base of this, and you can be pretty liberal with it. I mean, don't get stupid, but put a decent amount on there, and you can put a little in advance on the shaft here. It makes things go on easier. Okay. Wait, we need to put a gear in place. Now, I've been slowly saturating these in perpetual motion, super light qualifying ball bearing oil. And I've been using this for a long time. It works great. Don't ask me who makes it. It's probably made by Perpetual Motion. Anyway, what I'll do is I'll lay a bead around here, and when the oil has disappeared into the bearing, I'll pick it up, hold it by the center, and spin the outer ring a bit, massage it in, set it back down, put some more on, and let it drink up as much of that as it can. So there we go. Got that in. And it's probably not a bad idea to put a teeny bit of black grease around the outer edge here as well. Just a little bit. If nothing else, it'll help keep water from getting into the bearing itself. Anything excess is just going to get flung off once the first time this thing runs up. Okay, so again, a little bit of black grease in this trough here. That's where our O-ring is going to go. And the reason you want to do this is because you would think that the diff fluid will get in there, but you're going to have one of these paper thin metal shims on top of that, and it's just not going to get in there. So you want to lube these up in advance, otherwise they're just going to get overheated and degrade and not do what they're supposed to do. And put a teeny bit of black grease on here. Doesn't need to be the entire surface, it's going to get worked in. And then we can slide in our retaining pin. And again, we'll put a little bit of black grease on here. And we'll take our nice clean gear. And we'll put that on. And that is done for the moment. Now, go ahead and repeat that same process on this half. So I'm just going to pause that up, or I just won't talk while I'm doing it so I can do it faster. Okay, now choose one side or the other because we need to cap this off. So I'm going to go ahead and choose this side. Get your gasket all aligned properly. And the nice thing about having holes all the way through is that you can just line them, look right down through them, and line her up. Okay, now I've been soaking some the screws in some cleaning fluid. I generally don't bother with Loctite on these diffs because, number one, there's always some gunk left over inside on the inner threads, but also because they just don't need it. I've never had them come loose, and they are always tightened down. You know, you tighten them down hard, you've got the gasket pressing back against them. They just don't loosen up. But it's your call. Now, I don't tighten the first couple screws down tight because I want to make sure that I'm getting them all started. I know that one looks like it's down all the way, but it's not. It's still got a little bit to go. Those are some good solid gaskets. They're not just a piece of paper. It's kind of a rubbery plastic-like material. They don't tear easy, but just the same, be careful with them. Okay. The next part is our spider and gears, and there are several parts. We've got our shafts, we've got our gears, we have a washer, and then we have one of these little square pieces that goes on last, and those slide down inside these gaps here, these squared off gaps. So we're gonna want to put a little bit of grease inside each of these gears, just a dab. You might as well do them all at once, makes it easier. Because again, you are going to be using diff lube, but that lube it's so thick that by the time it actually gets into all the little nooks and crannies, like inside here, these things could have heated up so much that they've got some substantial wear. Teeny little drop on either side here, just to get that in place. That way that isn't going to wear. And this is for the square piece. It's more for the inside of it. God, between my wife's long blonde hair and the dog, there's hair everywhere. I know it's not mine because I shave my head. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to lower this one in with the groove side up. And what's probably the easiest way to do this is going to be to hold it with a pair of needle nose at an angle, because you can grab it by that flat spot there. And then I'll straighten that out once we get it in place. There we go. Make sure you get those to fit in. The little square pieces, you want to rotate them and press the gear outward to get that in place. Otherwise, your gears are going to tear each other apart. It's not going to function correctly. There we go. Okay, now comes the fun part. 500,000 weight fluid. See, I can hold it upside down. Nothing's coming out. It's barely moving. I was hoping that was deep enough. It's not. Still waiting for something to come out. That'll help. Hold the gears in, hold the axle down in the center, and then rotate. And the gears are carrying that thick snot down into the mechanism. And as you can see, it's all gone. And there's not nearly enough space has been used. So I have more to get. Okay, so now we should be able to test this out. Actually, probably easier holding from this side here. There we go. One center diff, nice and tight.